Hey, good morning, all. So we are live again today talking about SubTo, an exciting topic. We're streaming in different places. We're streaming on the Facebook group with Rap University. We're streaming on my Facebook page or my Facebook profile page. We're streaming in SubTo community as well. So we're streaming in different locations so that we can connect with as many possible viewers, investors, real estate agents, mortgage loan officers, lenders, hard money lenders, sellers, home buyers, anybody interested to learn more about SubTo for the SubTo community, whether you're in Texas or any other state. It works in all the United States, even in Canada. SubTos are allowed, available. You just got to do the right paperwork. Good morning, Alan. How's your day so far?
Doing great, doing great. I've got to say, it's my last day in the U.S. for the next couple weeks, heading down under.
Nice. Down under. Yeah, this is where they say this house is built like a brick dunny is the term that they use. So they'll say, Bob's your uncle. A brick dunny is a bathroom and outhouse. And they'll say when something's built really well, it means you really built it really well.
Good deal,
I
good
used to
deal.
live in Sydney.
I'll see if I can find some real estate out there to take SubTo.
There you go. You absolutely can do it over there as well. It's just, I don't know what they call it. I'm sure there's a terminology for it. How long are you there in Sydney?
So we're going New Zealand for 3 days, Australia for about what is that, 8 days, and then on the way back, kind of like when you're driving from Dallas to Austin, you stop in Waco and get a big O, a
Yeah.
beer. We're going to stop in Hawaii on the way back.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. Absolutely. I used to live in Singapore, so I'd go to Australia, Sydney, and I lived there for a while. Great place, love it. I met tons of Mexicans in Sydney, Australia, believe it or not.
Well, good. I'll use my Espanol whenever I'm there.
Espanol. This is what you want to do on Saturday afternoons and Sunday afternoons. You go to the Sydney Opera House, and people have picnics out there. So they're in the water, they're outside the picnics, they're playing games. It's just fun and exciting place. So, and then in the evening, obviously, you've got to go to a show at the Opera House in Sydney. It's beautiful.
All right, good deal. So Saturday and Sunday, kind of like part over in London, they all congregate, huh?
That's right. Kind of like at Hyde Park, in the afternoons, everyone's in London, Hyde Park. They're all out there. Or you'll see them, everybody walking through the Soho area of London. And then you go to Chinatown, get all the great Chinese food just down south of Soho, and a great place as well. So, man, you're an international traveler as I am. Love going to different places.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to post a bunch of stuff. It'll be fun.
Now, you got to remember in Sydney, back in the 70s, they did not have enough population. So they opened their doors of immigration to a lot of Central America and Latin America. So when you get there, you realize how did all of these Latin Americans and Central Americans end up in Australia? And that's because they had more land than they did people, right? And so they had to bring so many people into the country. And that's what helped them develop.
Well, good deal, good deal. Yeah, I'll take a look about it. It should be fun when I travel. I take all of ambassador and try to meet as many people as I can. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good. That's a long flight, so be ready for some neck cracking all the way. It's a good 16, 17-hour flight. Not that fun for the behind, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. No, just plenty of Advil PM and a couple scotches should be fine.
You'll get there. Close your eyes and you'll be there. Very good. Very good. So this morning we want to talk about, wraps and sub-twos, but we want to talk about how do we find these wraps and sub-twos. And obviously there's so many different ways to find our wraps and our sub-twos in today's market. Alan, you were talking just down the street from where you take your walk, right? There's a possible sub-two available. Maybe you want to start off with that.
Yeah, so I noticed a couple 3 months ago. Well, strike that. Probably 2 years ago, they put it on the market and it didn't sell. And so I think they took it back, did some remodel, rented it for a little bit, and now they're trying to sell it. And so I immediately called the real estate agent and said, "Hey, you think they'd be interested in seller finance?" And he immediately says, "Oh, well, there's a mortgage on it." I said, "Oh, fine, that's fine. We can do a wrap." And explained what a wrap was, and he said, "No, they're in the middle of divorce and they're probably not interested in that. And so I said, okay. And so I continue my walks, every morning. It's been about probably a month and a half or two since we had that conversation. And I'm getting ready to go back to him and say, hey, I noticed it hadn't sold. And then if he pulls out they're in divorce and they want to get rid of each other, I'll let him know we're going to bring enough equity down to pay off husband and wife, so they'll be done with it, and they can move on their own ways. We'll keep, and that's probably at the end of the day, right there. That's the way to find wraps is to make sure that you're ready to look at every single situation, every single opportunity, and say, hold on a second, can this be a wrap? And that's how to find them. And also ask.
Yeah. And another thing about that, Alan, is that if you just go on the MLS, right, you could go on HAR, Sabor, you can go on Zillow, you can go on Realtor.com, you can pretty much go anywhere. And whether they are on market or FSBOs, the number one quickest, cheapest, easiest way to find a SubTo, you go online and you look for properties been on the market 180 days. Right? The average property in San Antonio is getting an offer at around the 50th day. That's where they're getting offers at the moment. But it's really not selling or closing for another 30 days. So you're looking at 80 to 90 days from contract to close, from listing to closing. It's taking that long because the market's stabilizing. So let's say you hit the 90-day mark. The seller at this point and the agent are sweating. It's like, oh my gosh, how many times am I going to have to drop the price to get more viewings? And it doesn't mean that the houses are not getting viewings. They're getting viewings. They're not getting offers.
Yeah.
For a few reasons.
I mean, that's actually how you I would say negotiate wraps or maybe find is there's a problem. I've got too many days on market. I've got to sell. I'm getting relocated. We're divorced up and we're done with each other. I'm getting ready to go to foreclosure. If there's a problem, then that's where the investor comes in. Hey, good deal. I'm the solution. I've got your answer. Maybe a seller has no place to go and move to. You provide a solution for that. We've got one right now where my seller finance buyer is supposed to be trying to sell or refi. She says, I have nowhere to go. Well, that's perfect. Then now I'm going to go look in Taylor, Texas, see if I can find a property that meets her criteria, buy that and seller finance it to her and get her out of property A and property B. So really it's eyes wide open network and look for the opportunities.
Yeah. So a couple things that I do, right? So that's one way to get deals if you personally looking for deals yourself. You want to make it easier? You call the agent who has that deal for 180 days and you submit 5 LOIs a day. 5 LOIs is our structure. The goal is that you're not going to sit there and write an entire contract. You're just going to submit LOIs. Because it's all about the speed and the frequency because it's a numbers game. And in that, what I do is I just write a real simple LOI. I see the property 180 days. Hey, dear real estate agent, we buy these properties all day long. This is what we propose. Simple seller carryback. We're looking to pay us this amount. This is our price. Closing in 14 days. We take over the note. Would your seller be open to further the discussion, right? If you try to explain it to the agent, it's going to come in one ear and out the other, and it's illegal, right? They don't understand it unless there's a savvy agent. But submitting an LOI to just get the conversation started with the agent is helpful. Then I always ask to explain to the agent what I'm trying to do in a very simplified, SubTo for Dummies form, so I can at least get the seller on the call. And if I can get all 3 of them, then it's when I explain how we take over properties. How do you do it, Alan?
Mine are, I would say my purchases are usually opportunistic. So, for example, down in Katy, was trying to save foreclosures for this fella. He had 8 properties total. I stopped 6 of the foreclosures, couldn't stop the 7th and 8th without getting to a TRO action or something of that nature. And so I asked him, I said, what's planned? He goes, I'm going to let them go. And I said, well, hold on. And the equity, I mean, they had probably, well, it was a ton of equity. I don't want to say how much, almost embarrassing. And so I just simply asked him, I said, hey, if I have an investor that will purchase these things and save you from a foreclosure on your record, will you agree to that? And he said, yeah. And so took those properties, SubTo, paid the mortgages off. We didn't take them SubTo. We actually had to pay those mortgages off because they were foreclosure. And then went out and sold those things, seller finance. So I'm more opportunistic. Now you mentioned trying to give them wrap or SubTo for dummies. We've got a 1-page document that's kind of used for that. It's high brush strokes of what a wrap is. So if anyone on here wants that document, reach out to us on Facebook or what have you, and we can ship that document over. It's designed in theory to be layman's terms. What the heck is a wrap? I say in theory because sometimes I don't talk like normal folks talk, and I use too many legal words. But it should get you 9/10 of the way there to explain this thing in a 1-page document.
Yeah, and so let's go a couple things, right? So number one, you could do it yourself by going on all of these websites. Number two, you connect with agents, and many times agents don't know what to do with a property that has no equity. They don't know what to do with it. So they're leads because they don't see cash in it for themselves. So as far as they're concerned, it's not an important deal. So the other part of the process that we do is I have an agent that all she does is connect with other agents to tell them, hey, if you ever get a no equity deal, bring it to us and we'll give you a finder's fee. Most of the SubTo deals that I've gotten from agents, the agent just says, here's the deal. I have no idea what to do with it. And they walk away. I go away and make $20,000, $30,000 on that deal that they gave away. So if you can make agents your mass army bringing you deals, you'd have no marketing cost. If you go on Sabor, MLS, on Zillow to find deals, there is no marketing cost.
Yeah. Now, the other, if you're on MLS, there's a property listed for sale or lease. That can be a SubTo acquisition or a mortgage wrap acquisition because you clearly know that the seller doesn't need to pay off that mortgage to get to their next place because they're willing to lease it. Yeah. So that's a very good way to find them also.
Yeah, absolutely. And nowadays, agents are realizing that there is an actual feature on the MLS that says seller carryback, right? They're not used to clicking this little button. Now they are. So now you can literally filter, connect with an agent, say, hey, listen, be my buyer's agent. Go online and find me every seller carryback deal you got. And that's what every investor should be doing right now. Connect with an agent. You connect with me. That's what my team does every day. We become your buyer's agent. We find those deals for you.
Yeah. We almost had one. It was I think $775,000 was owed. They were looking at selling it SubTo, getting I think $30,000 to the seller. And we would have done it. It was someone took it down. We didn't do it because I don't like much repair. I want just minimal make ready kind of stuff. I've gotten involved in high level repairs and it wasn't fun for me. So I had to shy away, but someone took it down and I'll watch it. I bet you they took it down for about 800 total. They're going to put 100 into it. I bet you it sells for 1.2 and they make a good $250,000 on the thing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, SubTos are a great way for you to get a hold of a property, and there's a lot of exit strategies. So let's talk about some of those exit strategies that you kind of listed for me for us to review, Alan. You said fix and flip. You can wholesale it. You can find an end buyer. You can find an investor buyer. You can turn it into a short-term rental, long-term rental, equity partner with a seller, conventional lender buyer. There's so many exit strategies. And now there's something called pad splits. You ever heard of a pad split? You know what that is?
Say it again.
A pad, PAD, pad splits. So you get your SubTo, and you're literally going to turn every room into a hotel room. You're going to turn it into a pad, and you're going to split it. So the master bedroom, you can maybe rent it for $900 a month. It's got its own bathroom. It's got its own room. whatever. Then you have your three side bedrooms, four side bedrooms at $700 a month, right? So now you're taking a sub-2 where your mortgage is $2,000 a month, and you're doubling it because now you're renting it either by the month, by the quarter, by the half a year, or by the year. And now you're turning it into different pads. So
Yep.
that pad split program is a very lucrative way of people selling the sub-2 or making money off that sub-2 without turning it into a short-term rental. Whereas the short-term rental does work, but it doesn't work in every area.
Right. Right. No, I see those. I see that exact structure in the recovery homes.
Yeah.
So you can literally go and contract with this recovery company, and you're changing your 3-bedroom house into 6 or even 9-bedroom, where they're paying $300, $400, $500 per bed,
Yeah.
and going considerably. So yeah, same type deal. That's it's funny in Travis County. Fella bought a house in Westlake, fancy area, and turned it into a recovery center. And so the fancy people in the fancy area said, no, not going to allow this. And they tried to stop him, went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the fella won. So
wow.
that was fun to watch. It was fun to watch. I like when the little guy wins.
And you know what? Some HOAs, they're like so against short-term rentals or types of rentals. So sometimes be smart. Before you buy it, make sure that HOA is going to allow you to, because I promise you, most HOAs are going to fight you. I've known people. I had a lady had to sell me her house because she bought it. She was trying to turn it a short-term rental. It didn't work, and now she's stuck with a house she can't pay. And I just took it over immediately as a sub-2 and just wrapped it.
Yep. We see that often in the title. In the title office, we'll have folks that call us up and say, "Hey, why didn't you tell us that we couldn't do our short-term rental here?" And we have to unfortunately say that's not our job. Or
right.
Actually, what we say is, we did tell you. You got the HOA documents. You needed to review those. So it's not a specific item that's searched. It's generally going to be in those documents. But yeah, you got to be real careful, because HOAs, cities, all of them are coming down on short-term rentals. And I understand, I see where they're coming from, but got to be careful.
Absolutely, you do. So those are some ways, right? So pad splits away, short-term rentals away, recovery homes is away. So recovery homes, some people, that's all they do. They work with the state. And I know a guy in California where he would buy a house, and he says that they would pay him $10,000 per person per month. And I'm like, that's ridiculous numbers, right? But I don't think they pay that much in Texas. I think they're more like $500-$600 a bed. But you can fit 4 beds in a room, and you got 4 bedrooms. You're making good bucks there per month, and it's state funded numbers. So that's consistent income that you could use with a sub-2 property. Would you agree?
Yep. No, absolutely. Either state or private company. Doesn't matter if the bed or not, they're paying you those dollars. So you got safe income on those things.
Yeah. And Nicole here is saying, it's another way for college students. If there's a university around town, you can turn those into dorms as well, right? You stick 2-3 young people in a room, you're making your money, you're renting it for $600-$700 a month. Again, the master bedroom, you can stick 4 students in there, charge a higher premium because they have their private bathroom. Yeah,
you got to be careful there. Same thing with your HOA. There was an HOA, and they relied on the clause that said for single family use only. And
there you go.
We kind of got a little bit sneaky with them. We said, okay, this is a single family. It's a throuple, and they're all together. And they were right. So we got around that one, but we didn't try it again.
Yeah. Well, just all you got to say is they're a couple from Utah. They have moved to Texas, and they have a lot of kids.
Yep.
Because that happens often over there.
But you have to be careful. You got to check your property, check your Schedule B on your title commitment.
Absolutely.
Now, one of my favorite investment methods is the equity partnering that we talked about previously. But if
Okay.
you've got a seller and they're asking for too much because, gosh, if their property was repaired, they could make a bunch of money, and that's kind of what they're looking at. They're looking at comps that are brought to date, not their actual ones. What you do there is you with the seller say, okay, I'll take over your property SubTo, and let me go ahead and spend the money to fix it up, a little fix and flip. Going to sell it, and we'll split everything 50-50, and that way you're going to get more, Mr. Seller. And you can even guarantee them, depending on your numbers, you can guarantee them a certain amount that they're going to get. So they see, okay, if I sell it right now at what your offering price is, I'm going to get 30,000 less than what you're guaranteeing, or what have you. So the equity partnering is a fantastic tool to use when seller may have too much equity in there also, but can't afford to get it repaired, brought to date, or what have you. So that's a tool that you need to keep in your arsenal.
So just walk through a quick numbers or a scenario. How would somebody do an equity partner? Just give some, fake numbers or a relative case study. So
I'll give you real numbers on that house that I looked at in Lakeway. So it was purchase price was going to be about $800,000 if you include the taking over the 775 and giving them $25,000-$30,000. The investor is going to come in and put in about $100 on the repair. So we're at 900. I could have come in and partnered with the seller and said, listen, you're getting $25,000 or $30,000 at the sale of this. I'm going to fix it up, and we're going to make an extra $200,000. I'll pay you $50,000 out of that 200 if you go with me instead of this other fellow giving you nothing. And I could have done that. If the selling agent had known what she was doing, she probably should have. Well, she should have negotiated that anyway. They said, yeah, we'll let you buy it, but we're going to have a joint venture agreement that says when we're all done, I get X percent of this. And I've up with 75% goes back to seller. So you've got options.
And so the agent gets his commission, her commission, by doing this.
Yeah.
At the time of closing, though. So are you really doing an ovation in a sense?
I guess it could be looked at as a double clutch novation, really. And you said the agent gets their commission. Usually they're negotiating their commission on the sale of the second after the repair. So they're getting their commissions on the ARV. They waive their commissions on the acquisition side usually because they were going to get one commission anyway, but now they're getting a commission on 1.2 house versus an 8 house.
Got it. Okay, I see. Yeah, I see. So that obviously that's an important strategy of how we can do that, right? Let's answer this quick question. Faith is asking, what is the legal concerns on SubTo for the seller, especially in Florida?
So is Florida, are they a non-judicial foreclosure state? No.
I don't know that. Let's find out. Florida, is it? Maybe Faith can type that. Florida.
I'll let you ask Google. But whether it's non-judicial or judicial, the legal concern for the seller is, and not just illegal, but from the business concern is, all right, I'm selling my property to you, seller finance SubTo. How do I know that you're going to keep making the payments to the underlying mortgage? And ideally, what you want is that buyer to have some skin in the game in some form or fashion. So let's say that the investor is taking it SubTo. I've got 50,000 equity, so they're paying me my 50,000 and they're taking it SubTo. I know they've got skin in the game, and if I have to take that property back, I'm keeping the 50,000, reselling it, and I've made an extra 50,000 on the property. So the question was legal concern, but more, from a business standpoint, how can we protect seller? And that's the way, is make sure that the buyer has skin in the game, or if they're going to do a repair and remodel, now we're looking good because now that property's worth more, and that's protecting the seller. You have to make sure that everything's documented correctly. Make sure you're getting a promissory note, deed of trust as a seller. Yeah. But the real thing is the structure. Make sure the structure is there to protect you versus the law.
Absolutely. And Florida is a judicial state.
So it's going to cost a little bit more and take a little bit longer for a foreclosure.
Yeah.
At that standpoint, you can use I don't like them. You can use what's called a performance deed or a snapback deed that the buyer will sign, deeding the property back at time of the purchase of that property, and there'll be an escrow agreement that says if I miss 2 payments, you can record this deed. I don't like them because they're not enforceable if challenged, but I do see people doing that. I see investors a lot of time. This goes back to our negotiation discussion. The investor will say, "Hey, Mr. Seller, you would have to foreclose on me usually if I don't pay, but I'm giving you a performance deed." So I said I don't like them because they're not enforceable. If the investor wanted to argue against that deed being enforceable, they could, but obviously the investor is usually not going to. If they're not paying that mortgage, they're going to get the property back. So they can be helpful in that negotiation. I've seen the investors starting to do that also.
Yeah. So let's continue talking about a little bit about the type of sellers that are good candidates for a SubTo deal. Obviously, we talked about a couple of them already. And you also mentioned about obviously foreclosures, probates, and then somebody obviously that can't pay off their mortgage or can't pay monthly mortgages, right? You may want to discuss a little bit about that.
You said someone that said that again.
So good candidates to sell properties as a SubTo are anybody going through foreclosure, possible probates, or anybody that just can no longer afford their monthly mortgage.
Yeah, so if you don't have to be in foreclosure, and the one that I was just referencing, that one in Lakeway, they weren't in foreclosure. Their forbearance was ending, and they knew they couldn't pay that property. Their mortgage, I think, was at 3.85%, and that's where it becomes valuable. If someone wants to take that 3.85 and this property is either add exact equity to value or even underwater, take that 3.85, go seller finance it at 6.5, and you're cash flowing, and you're also going to be able to sell it for more than fair market value. So you'll have some embedded equity in there. But yeah, they don't have to be in foreclosure. Anyone who's in a situation where they have changed circumstances for some reason or another is going to be a candidate. And I don't know if there is a forbearance list. I thought they were all over, but they're still occurring. That one ended June 1 that I was referring to. So they're still going. I don't know if you can find that list, that would be a very, very good list to go and watch and maybe reach out to and start marketing.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see if some of these are still going through, right? Because, I didn't know forbearances are still going through. I thought they were all seceded.
I did too. Yeah, I did too. But they're apparently still there.
I think it's up to the bank now, right? Because they're trying to figure out how can we still not lose the property and avoid the foreclosure expense, because it gets pretty expensive to go through those foreclosure deals.
Well, and some lenders, they don't want the property. So, for example, over there in Lakeway, there's an HOA. There's HOA dues. There's going to be maintenance on the property. There's going to be this, that, and if that mortgage was right at fair market value, they may not want it. They may want to give the borrower time to see if they repair, or like what occurred here. New buyer comes along. Now they're back getting paid. And we saw that back, especially the big properties, the $2 million houses. Mortgage companies were saying, nope. We don't want that right now.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, a bank is a bank. A bank is not a real estate company. They don't want to own homes. They want to own loans.
They want money. They want to get paid. A lot of people will say, "Hey, I think this mortgage company is dragging their feet or not providing me the documents they need to because I think they want the property back," and that's actually just misunderstanding. They don't want the property back. They're just they're overworked and maybe not working as well as they should, but they don't want the property back.
Yeah. So here's a tip that I like to give, because what I like to do, Alan, is I like to buy properties that are less than 5 years old. I don't really enjoy buying homes less than that, because I prefer to go into a house that has, foundation's good, the roof's good, it's got warranty, it's structurally sound. And so this is what happened. 5 years ago, people bought houses that they really couldn't afford, but they were qualified to buy them, right? New neighborhoods, they get excited, they go look at the house, like, oh my gosh, the house I want to buy. But this is what happens. At 24 months, they start defaulting on their loan. This is the way I have come to figure it out in the numbers. And I've studied this as my analytics here for almost any place that you want in Texas. So here's your tip. You want to find properties at that level, you start looking for mortgages that were initiated at 2 to 3 years ago in new communities, and you market those homes.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden you're going to have callers calling you, hey, how can I get about from under this deal?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's one of the methods is you see on MLS there's a property that's for sale. That property's 3 years old. They got into that property at the peak, and so they're trying to sell this thing. They're not going to be able to get the dollars they want. So you come with, again, the solution. I'm the solution for you. I'm going to be able to pay a little bit more and take your 3.25 mortgage, go out there, seller finance it to an end buyer at more than what fair market value is. Jack the interest rate up to something that's better than they get on the fair market or the free market. So 6.5 or what have you. So no, that's 100% correct. Those 2, 3, 4-year-old houses that are now in the market are prime examples of a possible SubTo.
Yeah, absolutely. And because they have no equity, there's real no money to the seller because he just needs to walk away, right? There may be some funds to the agent, but many times I don't pay the agent, to be honest, because I'm not under contract with the agent. That's the seller's responsibility. So if the seller wants to pay the agent for doing nothing, then let him pay it. But I almost never pay the agent unless I absolutely have to. But most of the time I don't because he hasn't done any work on behalf of the seller and I'm not under contract to pay him. But if an agent brings me the property and then wants to work with you, then of course I'll give him some form of commission fee. So those are great candidates and I shoot for those as well. So let's talk a little bit about the foreclosures. Do you focus on all of the foreclosures to buy SubTos?
So the foreclosures are going to be probably the easiest SubTos to get into. You've got someone that's in a distress situation and dear Lord, they want out and you come with the solution to get them out and they don't get a foreclosure on their record. Now there's someone paying their mortgage monthly, and so their credit reporting is getting fixed monthly. You're the absolute best solution for them. So the foreclosures are the best. A lot of people come to me for legal assistance in regard to, hey, I'm in foreclosure, Alan. What can I do? Unfortunately, I don't get to take off my lawyer hat and put on my investor hat on those. I have to advise them as to their best option. And then when it is a good option for them to go ahead and sell this to an investor, I'm probably going to refer that out most occasions. I have purchased in that situation, but we have to be so careful and have such a overly fair transaction. Sometimes the numbers don't even work for us. But yeah, foreclosures are probably number one easiest or maybe most common way to get into a SubTo acquisition.
Most of the foreclosures then are people calling you. You don't follow a list. You don't download a list. You don't market a list.
I don't. I will. One of my favorite investment methods or search methods is to go out there and search for the appointment of substitute trustee. So although a mortgage company is not required to do that prior to foreclosing, they think they are, and so they're still doing it. Law changed about 5, 6, 7 years ago, and so when they've got someone that's 90 days late, 120 days late, what have you, they say, okay, we're going to get ready to start the foreclosure process. First thing you do is file that notice of appointment of substitute trustee. You can go get that list downloaded. There's companies that will send that to you, and I call that the pre-foreclosure list.
Right.
And probably one of the most valuable. You'll get folks who say, hey, take a hike. I'm 60 days late. I'm 90 days late. I've got this covered. Leave me alone, you blankety blank. And then you just move on to the next. But that's fine. That's what that's what we're trained to do. But that notice of appointment of substitute trustee list is a powerful list.
Absolutely, because if you're not searching for it if you don't find it ahead of time, you're going to find it when it's in the foreclosure list, and by then you got everybody in the country going after that property. So the
Yep.
goal is to, how do I bypass all of that, right? But what I have learned in the notice of substitute trustee notices is that sometimes they're refinancing, so that eliminates those people. Or sometimes it's not necessarily a demand letter. There's something else going on with the loan,
Yeah.
but you won't know unless you mail them, get a hold of them, call them, generate a skip trace, and start finding out what the deal is on their behalf. I noticed though many of them, because when I called the foreclosure attorney prepared to do the work on this, they're telling me that 70% of homeowners cure their note so it doesn't go to foreclosure. What have you found?
Now you up a little bit. Say that again.
So whenever I have found that attorney who's doing the substitute trustee, and then it actually moves into the foreclosure process, right? So that it didn't get cured during that time. When I call that attorney's office and I speak to whoever's in charge of posting these notices and dealing with the attorney, if anybody's responding, what I have found in my phone calls, in my research, they are telling me that 70% of them cure the note so that it doesn't go to foreclosure.
Yeah, I would say they're probably
But I
not
don't know.
tracking. They're probably not tracking who's reinstating that note. That could be investors that are in fact reinstating. But yeah,
It's stating
I
right.
would say if you've got a list of 10 foreclosures, maybe 3 are going to go. That would be a high number. I think probably
Yeah,
1 or 2 out of 10 it would be my guess.
I agree. I agree because I mean, every time I go on the foreclosure list, I'm seeing 500 at a time. I mean, there's
Yeah,
so many every single month. It's ridiculous.
yeah.
Um, all right, let's switch over to. I know we keep talking on this. So we talked about how to find sellers, right? Foreclosure list, notice of appointment of substitute trustees, bankruptcies, divorce situations. You want to talk a little bit about those?
Yeah, so a lot of folks will go out there and look at the bankruptcy filings. That's public records. Look at the divorce filings. That's public records, and not as sought after. So, like you said, once there's a notice of foreclosure, I say you're with all the vultures now. You've got
Yes,
a lot of competition. So a lot of people will get into relationships with attorneys. If you somehow do have the ability to get in relationship with a divorce attorney, then they say, "Yep, property's going to be sold." Uh, eight times out of 10, and they'll come to you first. So developing those relationships is powerful, or getting those lists and then just start trying to make the phone calls. Dealing with lawyers, they're a little bit tough to deal with. Some of y'all may not have heard, but lawyers are kind of type A, and I don't know what A stands for, but type A people. But that is a method of going out there, kind of like the real estate agents. They'll become experts in divorce situation, learn about options and things of this nature. But those are both two avenues that are available that aren't as sought after. Also,
absolutely. And man, if we only knew attorneys that were not type A, I'll tell you, I'd love to meet one of those
yeah,
guys.
I would too. I would too.
You would too. Awesome. So we talked about divorce situations, bankruptcies our way. Um, how do you often find those bankruptcies to see if they're good candidates for substitutes?
Now, I used to have some relationship trustees, but on this one, those are going to be a little bit more difficult because the trustee has a fiduciary obligation to sell that property at fair market value. So
Yeah, yeah,
you're not getting 70% fair market value on those things.
no,
It's more for those situations where the interest rate is powerful, or you can negotiate just a touch below fair market value, and it's valuable for the trustee to get that property sold and sold quick, and
sure,
so you're that
sure.
solution also. But you are dealing. A lot of times in the bankruptcy arena with that fair market value, even in a divorce situation, if it has to be approved by the court, there's a fair market value purchase that's going to be needed. So it is an option, but you may be paying a little bit more than you want to pay on those.
Yeah, and they're not as fast either because there's so much paperwork along the way. So it may take you 4 6 months to close on the deal. if it all goes well. So I don't have the patience for the probate properties, to be honest. I don't do those.
Yeah, trustee's going to be filing some motions with the court and waiting for a court to say yes, no, or otherwise. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's going to take a bit.
sure. Now you also talk, maybe one of the final ones we're talking about here, the topics is other types of candidates. You talk about rundown properties that buyers cannot get traditional loans, rundown properties where seller cannot afford repairs, properties listed on the MLS or lease, and listed with many days on market. So any of those that you like to cover?
So the first two is when we're going to get into our equity partnering, possibly. I mean,
Okay.
we're first going to, if there's a rundown property and buyers can't get traditional loan, then we don't necessarily need to partner with them initially,
Right.
or the seller can't afford repairs. Our first offer to them is, hey, I've got the solution for you. You're looking for a buyer that needs a conventional lender. We have our own lending solutions here. And so and then if they say, no, this thing's worth, once we get it fixed, it's worth, $1 million or what have you, then you go into phase two and start equity partnering or discussing the equity partnering aspect. But yeah, those two are for that. In terms of the for sale or lease, that's obviously opportunity. It's, it becomes incumbent upon the investor, as your management challenge now, to go and educate why they don't need to pay off their mortgage. And that's usually a really easy task, especially with the legislature thankfully coming and giving us legislation on how to do mortgage wraps. So my statement is there's no legislation telling us how to commit murder. It's because it's illegal. The reason they have legislation on how to do wraps is because they're legal. And so that helps us quite a bit also. And then that listing, many days listing, we talked about that one.
Yeah.
You're the solution. They can't sell their property. And now we're coming in and teaching them how they can sell it and maybe sell it for a touch more than they were thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess what we're trying to say is there's so many ways to go ahead and find SubTo deals. We just need to figure out which strategy you're going to focus on. And I say try one strategy for 30 to 60 days and don't stop, because people try so many and then they never really hit something because they're going and jumping up around everywhere. They spend a bunch of money on marketing and then nothing comes back. So they say that doesn't work, right? They jump to the next one. So now they get frustrated because they can't seem to figure out the SubTo process.
Yeah. And you talked about getting with agents. The more you network, and you let these people know, hey, there is an option. They may not understand it 100%. Like this new agent that sold that house over there in Lakeway, she didn't understand anything about it. She was just getting hit with all these offers. So she reached out to me and said, hey, what's going on with this? And I told her, it is an option. So she doesn't know how to do it, but she does know when she runs into that same situation. All right, call this guy. He knows how to do it all. So make sure that everyone knows if they run into a foreclosure situation, call you. If there's divorcing parties, call you. If there's low equity, good interest rate, call you. Got to make sure everyone in your networking group and otherwise knows you're the guy to go to whenever X, Y, or Z happens, and then you just keep looking yourself for the X, Y, and Z also.
Yeah, absolutely. So in with that, I'm going to switch screens real quick, Alan, and talk a little bit about what I do and what we do and how anybody on our call or in our video can look at these here. So let me switch over to this. And I think we're both on the screen, so they should still be watching and hearing us. So I currently have 9 SubTo deals that I am selling. And most of these are prepared to be wrapped. So we've done the SubTo part. We are now wrapping them. So looking for wrap buyers. So whenever I put these properties, I put them on Facebook groups. I put them on Facebook Marketplace. And then I list them on Zillow. And then I list them on the MLS. Why? Because I want to get as many eyeballs on these properties as possible. So if it's on the MLS and a buyer, an agent brings me a buyer, then obviously they're earning a flat fee or a commission depending on that deal. If I get it on Zillow and I find the owner occupant directly to me, then I'm not having to pay a commission. So it just depends how my buyers come. But the goal is that, see here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And these other ones we've already sold. I've got 10 right now, 11. I've got 11, Woodcrest. I have these properties ready, all ready to be wrapped. I'm looking for owner occupants. So here's how you, as an investor, can do. If you are a buy and hold investor, you can buy the SubTo from us as a wrap already. You put, instead of going to the bank to do the BRR method or get loans, you can buy the property for $25,000, $30,000, whatever it is, $40,000 down. You buy the house, you put tenants in there. You turn it into a recovery home. You turn it into a short-term rental. You turn it into, as we said, pad splits, whatever. Buy that SubTo, you become the owner legally of that house, and now turn it into a business. You'll make more money than renting it out, but it saves you the hassle when, just like Alan said, connect with agents like myself or investors like myself that already have deals ready for you to get a hold of, right? So there's one deal that I want to talk to you about. This one, I think I mentioned to you last week a little bit, Alan. And this is one of the properties that I actually have as a SubTo. And the reason I want to talk about it is because this is how I got it. The agent listed the property for 6 months, couldn't sell it. Took it off the market. Seller says, I got to move overseas. I still need to sell it. What do I do? That agent happened to be talking to another agent. And that second agent took one of my SubTo classes in Houston that I do for free. She remembered I buy SubTos because I teach for 4 hours about how to buy SubTos. And I did it for free. I should have charged. Alan, you charge for yours. I do them for free. But I should start charging. So that agent remembered my training. So she told this other agent, who then went back to the seller, said, there may be somebody who can buy this property for me. Long story short, there's no equity in the deal. She only bought it 2 years ago. She's only lived in it for 1 year and 1.5 years. She remodeled the entire house. She can't get rid of it. So they called me. I said, sure, I'd be happy to buy it. But I can't pay you anything for the property because it has no equity. So I have the property under SubTo, and I'm doing two things. As you see here, I have it listed on Zillow, and I'm wrapping it for $359 with $35 down. Then I can cash flow on whatever I want to. It is 15 minutes from the beach in Galveston. So it could be a short-term rental. It could be a pad split. It could be a corporate housing. It could be a recovery home. It could be a college student home. There's so many different ways I do that, right? So I list them. But what I'm doing with this property is that I'm actually making it available for anybody that's on our call, on our videos, on our communities that says, you know what, I want to get into SubTo. I want to do everything that you're just suggesting as avenues for income. And I'm actually also selling it as a wholesale deal. So instead of me going to find an owner occupant, I'm just saying I'm willing to sell you this house. I'm wholesaling my SubTo structure for $30,000. So I'll take $30,000 and then you decide what you want to do with it. It's up to you. You bought the house without having to go borrow money from the bank, no credit, and now the house is yours. And it just becomes a wholesale deal to me. But the beauty about this, Alan, it's again, only 1.5 years old, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. It's 2,000 square feet. And I write the structures here for you. And I'll show you how I'm doing it. I'm actually buying it for $325, but I'm selling it for $350 as a wholesale deal. So I walk away with 30 cash. The reason I want 30 cash is because I want the 30 cash. If I sub it to the deal, or I'm sorry, if I wrap the deal, I know I can walk away with 35 or even 40,000. And most people today that are selling their SubTos, they're selling it at a minimum 10 to 15, even 20% down to the SubTo structure, and then they're selling it to an investor. Well, if you can sell that, I'm getting it for $325, but selling it for $355 and only asking for 30, I'm literally taking less than 10% of the actual value of the house. So I'm way below what everybody else is charging. You with me so far, Alan?
Yeah, but you take that less than 10%, that 30,000, you can go buy 10 more houses via SubTo.
Absolutely, absolutely. But also the investor has enough margin, then he can wrap it if he wanted to at 40,000 and still make 10,000 bucks, or
Yep.
45,000 and make 15,000 bucks. So it's a non-lose situation, right? But the reason I do this is because I want to make an opportunity for investors or anybody watching that says, hey, I want to take down my first SubTo and turn it into a cash flow property. Now, let me explain this interesting thing. Monthly, if you bought it as a wholesale deal, the interest rate on it is a little high. It's 5.875. That's not the best interest rate, but if you're going to wrap, it doesn't matter because you're going to jack up that interest rate anyway, right? So monthly, your debt obligation is $2,400 a month if you're buying the property from me. But here's the kicker. The actual mortgage is $2,700. So I said to the seller, listen, I cannot buy it at $2,700. That's too high for me. So I need you to contribute $300 a month for 36 months. So she's actually paying me to buy her house. I have it under contract. Then what you do is you get an escrow servicer who's going to do ACH payments straight out of her bank account to collect the $300 a month. So now your real obligation is only $2,400 a month. So let's say worst case scenario, you don't do any of these strategies and you just want to rent the house, rent it for $2,500 a month, and you at least have $100 cash flow. Now, after 36 months, you need to refinance it or go ahead and wrap it when the prices go up so that you can then demand more money. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, exactly. My lowest cash flow property is $200 a month. And my statement is, okay, that's not a lot. But if I had 300 of those properties under my control, which you can, because there's no limit to how many SubTos you can take over, $60,000 a month cash flow is not bad.
not bad. The average person, Alan, can retire at the minimum $10,000 a month with a couple of SubTos. If they can cash flow $10,000, that's more than what they're earning working, right? Most people don't make $10,000 just on an average hard working day. Imagine just retiring on $10,000 a month. That would be a beauty, wouldn't it?
Yeah, one of the biggest SubTo investors I know, he's cash flowing $300,000 a month on his cash flow with all of his properties. I don't know how many there are, but obviously several hundred. And I've seen cash wrap, so you're not stuck at a low number. Mine average mine go between 200 and 1,100 right now.
Yeah, and that's great. That's great. So I have one property where I'm cash flowing. I have it structured with 3 nodes, right? So the first node is all mortgage. It's an exact wrap. My second is my interest, and my third is the down payment that they owe me to complete the entire amount that they did not have. So I'm cash flowing 2 different ways. So if they ever call the note due, I just sell the first note, which is the cash, the debt service, or I can try to find a private equity partner to buy it out and then just pay him slowly. Right? So those are different options. So this one I'm offering is just a wholesale deal at $30,000 that anybody can buy. The other thing that I show is that we have all these other deals. If you are here today, you're listening on, you're saying, hey, I want to get some SubTos under my belt. I'm ready to buy the wrap. These are properties that I have. I have them in Dallas, I have them in San Antonio, and I have them obviously in Galveston. So I even sell properties in Dallas. I sell all across the country. Look at this one, Alan. This one's only 2 years old. It's in Converse, Texas, selling it for $300,000. As long as somebody comes to us and says, hey, it is a brand new house. It's gorgeous. This one requires $40,000 down, and their monthly obligation is $2,500 a month. So when we have pretty houses like this, we'll go in there and we'll do a Matterport. And we'll show everybody, hey, this house is just as gorgeous as any other brand new house. Subdivision's only 2 years old. And so they can go in here and look around. Look at this. It's all stainless steel appliances. You've got granite countertops, brand new paint, huge backyard, all tile floors. It's already been upgraded for you. They even did extra nice there on the background. It's ready for anybody to buy this, turn this into a recovery home, turn it into a corporate housing. Hey, use traveling nurses. Traveling nurses love these types of homes. You stick a couple of them there, just beautiful house. Look at that. Just a gorgeous house. So we have properties available. So this weekend, we're having a seller finance parade of homes. So we're going to forecast and show all of our homes this weekend. Anybody that's interested, connect with us, go on our Facebook, connect with me. We're going to be posting all of that there so that you can see all of the properties that we have available. And we want to connect with you about those. So let me stop sharing my screen.
Rents are catching up. So these homes that have these mortgage payments, like you were saying, $2,400 and having to cash flow, the rents are catching up. And so you may not be watching this close. Someone else may come over, look at one of your properties, and realize, well, heck, I can rent this thing for $400 more than is owed per month. So there's a lot of opportunity. It's a weird time right now where sellers want to sell seller finance and buyers want to buy seller finance. So we're in a good time. SubTo is not last, 12, 18 months minimum, could be longer.
Yeah. I'm telling investors, put your cash now on SubTos. Get as many as you possibly can. Alan, let's talk about Wrap University.
So Wrap University is a little 4-hour course that I put together, taking every single thing that I've learned over the past 20 years about wraps, how to find them, how to negotiate them, full 9 yards. We're coming up to Dallas on July 21 to do the live Wrap University. And if you want to attend Wrap University, we have online course at wrapu.seshker.com, which is the full course, plus a bucket full of documents that can help you along your way. The like I've been talking about, the 1-page document, FAQ document, sample contract, sample language, really everything you're going to need. So I've got my Wrap University really to teach folks all about that. Would be a module that would attach onto something that you have, the hands-on coaching. So my program teaches them, what it's all about, how to do it conceptually. But as I tell every new investor, if you're doing something for the first time, partner with someone. And so your coaching would be the partner that they would need, or they go out, find the property, and then get with you and start working out how to get through to the end, to the goal line.
Absolutely, and thank you for putting a plug for me, Alan, because I have something that I call We Buy Pretty Homes. It's really subject to, but I like pretty homes. I don't like old, ugly, distressed homes. I like pretty homes, right? There's 5-year-old type properties. This is my coaching program that I have here, and I show you here videos. I tell you exactly how we do it. You come to this page, and if you just go to my Facebook, you'll see my page there, and I show you case studies. I bought this property, $370,000. It was a 5-bedroom. It was a 3-car garage. I profited $19,000 on this property. And here's my testimonials of all my students that come and take these courses all across the country. So I call it We Buy Pretty Homes, and it's $14.97 is what I sell it for. But those that register through this link, and you go to my website on this one, you get 66% off on this. And so if you type this code that I have here on the page, you're able to go and do that. So yeah, we have this, but I coach people, I mentor them, because I believe that they needed some handholding when you're doing it for the first time, and that's very helpful. I know, but they need your Wrap University to understand the background structure, forms, how to do it appropriately, what's the legal rules and regulations. I teach it, but it's important for them to come from an attorney as well.
Yeah. No, it's and one thing that you said, you've profited X dollars at time of acquisition. I've never purchased a property SubTo and then gone out and sold it seller finance Wrap without being in the black every single time. So the way I look at it, if I'm just making maybe $5,000 by the time I get the SubTo acquisition, the seller finance Wrap, the way I look at it is someone paid me $4,000 to go and create that monthly passive cash flow.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. That's why I'll take, cash flows at $200, $300, $400 per month. I'm getting into them for free, or someone's paying me to get into them.
That's right. That's right. And at the end of the day, you're solving a person's problem, issue, situation. I really don't like to call them problems. I like to call them situation, right? Somebody's got an issue. What's the issue that I can help you solve to help you be better at what you need to do to move on, right? So that's what I prefer to do. But
Yeah.
Alan, it's been a great time. Our time's up. Any last closing words?
No. I'll encourage folks to go out there and learn via my program, learn via coaching and mentoring. You need a coach or a mentor for the first 3, 4, 5 times, and then you go and fly on your own. So we look forward to seeing folks on the Rap University. Also, Facebook, I think we're streaming. We have a community I'm trying to build, and I want it to be national and have thousands of folks involved. And I post to that Facebook site all the time. So look for the Rap University. There it is, Rap and Subject to Community. Exactly. Thanks so much for that. But I'm trying to grow that as much as possible. I spend my time there, answer questions. I post things, and just trying to really try to create a community in the way that community is defined. I'm helping people learn this stuff and at no cost via watching the Rap and Subject to Community.
Yeah. And it's so important that people join, right? So make sure that if you're here, get a hold of Alan, become a friend with him there. Go to Facebook at Cheskar, you'll find him. And then you'll also find Rap University on the website. And you can find just type in on Facebook, just go up there, type in Rap and Subject to. Rap and Subject to. That'll take you to his community. Ask to be joined. It's a private group, but it's a free group. Is that right, Alan?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. And we'll be streaming. We'll do our best to try to stream. Here we are, as you can even see there. We're actually streaming. There's a little bit of a lag, but we're streaming straight out of there as well. So make sure you follow up with that. Guys, thank you all for joining today. We look forward to constantly seeing you. We'll be here again weeks to follow. Just look for our events. We sign off today and talk to you guys soon.
See you, Hux.